I can't tell what's selected. Hello and welcome to Wednesday, January 22nd, 2025. It's my 2-month birthday for sobriety and cigarettes. The walls of the container feel immediately present, cold, hard, at your back and face, cramping your limbs. You resist the desire to stretch, knowing that the claustrophobia comes next, and retreat a little from your central nervous system. It isn't painful, not like you used to know pain, at least. In emergency mode, pain is a message delivered with efficiency and ease, a reminder that harm is imminent. There is no insistent throb, no trembling nerves, just a warning delivered with the banal quality of a digital notification. Right now there are thousands of them. Remember the others. You remember there were 10 of you, 10 that could no longer stand the indentured work, the routines, the slow decay, 10 whose belief in their promised future was slowly dismantled day by day, until they realized they had sold away everything they could and would ever matter. 10 that would escape, or at least died trying. Some were lost in the shaft, others never found their meeting point. Only a few made it to the containers, but the freighter, as far as you know, left. That feels like enough to know that you might no longer be on that grim and heartless rock. Even if, in the airless hold of a freighter, you might freeze solid long before you reach any destination. Try to rest. But you are restless. It has been a long time since you left. Surely weeks, maybe months. You are dully aware of damage to your legs, your right arm. You've been reserving energy as much as possible, yet your body has still needed to shut down many of its systems to protect you. You spent much of that time asleep, knowing that anything else would be impossible to endure. You feel the weight of that impossibility begin to gather. It is time to sleep again, to nudge this false body into inducing delta waves in your emulated mind, and once again recoil into a dream of when you were once a person. Rest. Time passes. The cold creeps further in. You feel something. Warmth. Not true warmth, but the indication of its presence. Your joints release from their rigor. Sound, too, everywhere, screeching and shimmering so loud that your body ducks your hearing to protect its sensors. Then light. White as the cold, softer and softer, until in a haze of dirty yellow a figure appears. You are out. Dragos, pragmatic salvager. It has been a few hours since Dragos pulled you from the container. You sit huddled in a corner of his scrapyard, swaddled in the reflective folds of a mylar blanket. You are slowly coming back to consciousness, back to life, and you stare at the ornately curving element of an improvised heater. You are surrounded by angular, incoherent lumps of ships, some corroded beyond recognition, others still carrying glassy wounds along their edges where plasma arcs slice them apart. As you trace their shapes with fogged eyes, you hear a voice. So, sleeper, you all thawed yet? Almost. Never seen one of you come in like this. New frames must have better perseverance in sub-zero vac. Seen more than a few of you frozen solid to hull plates or inside outer locks in my time. They weren't so lucky. Dragos comes into focus, shrouded in makeshift tech, his head set with its glinting eyes the mark of a drone operator. On his shoulder, one of the symbiotically linked drones perches, its irising eyes locking you with an unflinching stare. Last living sleeper that came through this yard was a while ago. They didn't last long. You struggle to read his expression beneath the tech, but he seems lost in memory for a moment. Or perhaps he is just figuring out what to do with you. I plan to survive. You aren't sure if he hears you. I won't ask what led you to do it, to sell yourself to a corporation. And I suppose you know you can't go back. Your old body, that's theirs now, and you are just software. A rogue emulation illegally possessing corporate property. You nod along. You remember biometrically signing the forms, the cold floor on your feet as you padded to the sleeper cells, the promise of a life off-world. But as you do, you get the now familiar sensation that these aren't your memories. These are things you know, but not things you feel. You are no longer that person. You are an offshoot, a copy. What you won't know is what's ahead. At least the last one didn't. There's no easy way to put it. That body of yours is falling apart. It's the same for any sleeper who makes it out. SNR wants to protect their property, but if they can't keep hold of you, well then no one can. You remember that too, or at least rumors of it from the other sleepers. Planned obsolescence, a built-in dependence on the regularly administered supplements that were part of your routine. Stop taking them and your body begins to shut down, separate from your emulated mind. How long has it been? How long do you have? But for now, sleeper, you're one of the lucky ones. Dragos glances up and away toward the glassy dome of the yard. The eye is the best place you could be right now. The eye? The station. You'll see soon enough. Dragos impatiently shifts his weight. Look, I've got things to be getting on with. He trails off. There's an old freight container I've been using as storage out in the stacks. We haven't been pulling in much valuable scrap these days, so you're welcome to it. Something wells up inside of you. Emotion. Fatigue. You shakily get to your feet. Nod. Alright, you head on up there. You look like you need some rest. And with that, Drago stalks back into the Rex, his drones already converging on the rusting hulk, plasma flashes silhouetting his spindly figure as he returns to work. Welcome to Erlin's Eye. Life on the Eye runs in cycles, during which you can talk to characters, explore areas of the station, and perform actions. At the end of each cycle, you need to head to your current home to rest. Resting will move time forward on the station. Head to the empty container location to rest and end the cycle now. You wait curled up in the corner of the container and begin slowly assembling the world around you. After all this time, you still find this body, the one you wake in now, strange and disjointed. Its message is readable but somehow wrong. You sit up, pulling the mylar blanket close against the cold. Here you are, on this ruined station, millions of miles from anyone you know. Are you still in the system? Did any of the others make it out? It's impossible to know. After all this, what matters? Building a life. Maybe you did get lucky finding yourself here. Maybe here, on the edge of everything, there's a life for you to build. But before you can build anything, you'll need to learn to survive. Maybe if you can do that, you can make a life for yourself. Dragos has left a few comforts in the container. The mylar blanket, the bedroll you slept on, a canister of water, a makeshift electric stove, and some faded sachets of some desiccated powder. You thumb the power stud of the stove and begin to boil the water. The contents of the sachets smell like damp wood, and you sprinkle them into the liquid. As the pungent smell washes over you, images from your restless sleep come back to you. A ring, like the station, but skeletal and ghostly. A web of threads pulling at your skin. Constellation of bright polygonal shapes, like angular suns, burning into your mind. There's something unpleasantly visceral about these images, and it is long after you finish drinking before they begin to fade. You tidy away the stove as best you can and try to gather enough energy to greet the day. Your condition represents the current state of your artificial body. It depletes by one segment each cycle, but can be damaged by violence, injury, or lack of food. If your condition bar empties, you will suffer a breakdown. At the start of each cycle, you roll your action dice. These dice can be used to perform actions on the station. The number of dice rolled is based on your current condition. The worse your condition, the fewer dice you have. Once you've used your dice, you cannot take any further actions and must reset to recover them, ending the current cycle. You also need to eat to survive. This is represented by your energy bar. You can fill your energy bar by eating, but first you'll have to find somewhere to get food. Your energy depletes by 2 segments each cycle. If it becomes empty, you will be starving. When starving, energy loss becomes condition loss, and your condition will also deplete at a double rate per cycle. Dragos is standing in the corridor when you close up the container. He is still wearing his headset, and in the harsh light of the corridor you realize it is implanted. A drone sits on his shoulder, its cache of sensor eyes rapidly irising. How are you feeling? Not good. The drone chirps. Dragos nods. You notice that beneath the operator's rig, his skin is marked by burns and blotches. I know the container isn't much, but it'll keep you safe. He pauses. So, I'm not going to chit-chat too long. You well enough to work? Sure. Alright then, he nods. At the yard, it's simple stuff. We hack these old hulls down, sell them off to the shipyards or the bright market dealers for cryo. Occasionally we pull out some tech, something with a bit more value, but most of what comes in is scrap. It's hard to find good hands here, but I figure as a sleeper you'll be used to the manual labor. And obviously I'll slip you a few chits of commission based on what you turn up. Got it. He shuffles his feet nervously. Look, I wouldn't usually do this. In my opinion, you'd be best suited moving on as quick as you can. And sleepers, well, he trails off. But things being the way they are for me right at the yard, he pauses. I need the help. Happy to. Okay. He pauses, thinking of something else to add. Look, just come down to the yard when you're feeling fresher. There's plenty to do. Will do. He nods distractedly and turns and walks away, the drone hopping along ahead of him. See you later, he calls back. Looks like it's time to get to work. Actions. Oh, jeez, I can't win. Actions are the primary way you interact with the world of Citizen Sleeper. To perform an action, select it with the D-pad and X, and then choose an action dice to assign. Got about half an hour. Actions reward you with clock progress, energy, condition, or items depending on their outcome. There are 3 types of outcome. Positive. The action goes better than expected. Neutral. The action succeeds. Negative. The action fails. Action dice affect these outcomes as follows. How many is that? 6. Guaranteed chance positive. 5. Half chance positive, half chance neutral. 3 and 4. 1/4 positive, half neutral, 1/4 negative. 1 or 2. Half neutral, half negative. Actions display information about their type, risk level, and the skill and modifiers that apply to that action. Either critical or repeatable. Critical actions can only be performed once. Risk, either safe, risky, or danger. Safe, no loss of condition, energy, or cryo. Risky, negative outcomes means cryo or energy loss. Danger, negative outcome means condition loss. Neutral outcome can mean cryo or energy loss. Skill, the skill that this action requires. So much reading. Okay, let's do this one. It's risky. I forget what that means. Let's use one of our high dice. Too much reading. I don't understand the controls. Yeah, I think that's about enough of that. I hope you enjoyed this stream, and if not, then you won't even hear this message.